Yeah, I'm going to do a fair use under the Section 107 Copyright Act 1976. Fair use, fair use. Yeah, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To your sisters, Yahawah, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawah with the lesson.
Judge Mathis' wife leaving him, who was married 39 years.
Corey says Judge Mathis hit the pinnacle, only to end up in divorce after 39 years. Then Mathis and Lisa talk about their separation. They explain it in a way that validates Corey's whole take.
I'm not good, rather. It's the worst days of my life. How about that? He reached the pinnacle.
And it's probably going to get uglier. I hate to say it.
Felt like I did when I lost my mother. This is what happened to all these women. After the streets, show them who they are.
Stepping away from your marriage and stepping away from your family is not an easy decision for anyone. I felt I needed to just take care of me.
It is so sad that the only person who can show your woman who she really is the streets. The streets always humble them.
Me starting to realize what it would be like without him.
They want you to take them back with a ran through.
I didn't think I was going to get another him. I was like, okay.
The streets bring them back to reality, and they want the exact slot back they had before.
Me that I needed to pack my stuff and told me that I needed to pack my stuff and get the fuck out the house. Then told me that I needed to pack my stuff and get the fuck out the house.
Her husband kicked her out of the house, and the reason will shock you. Who's in the wrong?
My husband is mad at me because he walked in and he saw that I'm making breakfast, and I told him that this was for me and my daughter, and that if he wanted some, he needs to cook for himself. If you're that hungry, there's a McDonald's on the street, or there's eggs in the fridge and there's bacon, and you can make it yourself. I told him if you don't want to cook, you could wait and see if there's any leftovers. If there's leftovers, go ahead and eat. I didn't know that me making that video was gonna upset him so much. I literally have nowhere to go. My husband told me that I needed to pack my
Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1. They say, if a man put away his wife, right? And these days, it's really the woman, right? Because, technically, a woman is not to have power to divorce a man, but because Esau has given women more power than they deserve, so to speak, things are out of control. It's more of the woman that applies for divorce in this time, and she go from him and become another man's, right? So now she belongs to another man, right? And shall he return again to her? Should that man go back to be with that wife, that woman that was his wife, but now basically is not his wife now? She belongs to somebody else, right? Like the brother was saying, were you supposed to get after she done been ran through? Now you're supposed to get the spot that you had initially. Right? You didn't have no respect for the spot that you had initially, right? Shall not that land be greatly polluted, right? When you ran through that land, right? Which I don't know if you understand, a woman is known as the incubator. She's like the earth. The seed goes into the earth, and sometimes seed, it goes into the earth, but it doesn't sprout. These different spirits that you get put on you through these different men's, seed, right? Sperma, right? Whether if it comes to term or not, right? Now the land is polluted, right? It represents the woman, the land, But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, speaking about Israel as a whole, right? Mostly talking about the men, the prophets, right? But Israel as a whole, we went and served other gods. So that's the Lord's likening the nation of Israel worshiping other gods as if a woman who went unto other men. That land is greatly polluted, man. Been ran through, right? With many lovers, yet return again to me, saith Yahawah, right? And that's us returning back to him as a nation, starting with the men. But you have, well, you have the situation, it being, what do you call it? Not just spiritual, but literal too, right? When the Lord says, return into your husband, right? Yeah. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10. And unto the married I command ye not, but Yahawah, right? So this ain't you know, the Apostle Paul speaking himself, right? Because he had sound wisdom. That's why he was saying. That's why he says it. It's not him that's speaking, right? Or he'll say, well, this is me speaking. He's basically saying, this is my humble opinion based on the laws and the things that he learned through experience, right? You know, and and the Lord taught him Yahawashi, and not just Yahawashi like he taught the 12. He taught him in his perfection, right? Which is far greater than he taught the 12, right? That's why his he had a far greater in-depth understanding of the gospel. That's why he brought up Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated, right? None of the other apostles brought that up, right? So, there's sound wisdom into the Apostle Paul speaking, even though he's saying it's me speaking, right? So such a chosen vessel for Yahawashi to teach him in his perfection. It's something you don't bat your eye at that, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not nothing to look at lightly, right? But it says, and unto the married I command ye not. See, not I, but the Lord, right? Going back to the law, statutes, commandments. But the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. So really, you women ain't supposed to be getting a divorce. It's not your business to be getting a divorce. But under Esau, you could just get the divorce, right? You could say a bunch of outlandish things, saying that the man can make his own meal. If he wanted, he can go down the street and make it. But you just here to make something for you and your kid, and not him. Well, he's paying the bills. He's working. He's the man. The Lord set up the order, right? How am I supposed to be the person who's supposed to provide and even protect you, but I can't get a meal in my own house with my own dishes? You know what I'm saying? If I got to make it myself, what do I have you here for? Right? But that's the pride that these women. So then she even put it on the internet. Now now she's surprised. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I didn't know he was gonna be like so angry that. Well, you know how embarrassing that is. Other guys know that's his wife. You like a clown. You mean your wife? Your wife? That's not even like the wife wearing the pants. That's like beyond. You know what I'm saying? That's beyond embarrassing, right? You thought you were gonna Suge Knight him and shit. Nah, nigga, this is my stove, and I'll cook what I want to cook. And if you can't, you need to go down the street and get you something. Yeah, but I'm still gonna live in your house, live in the bed, turn on your lights, turn on your grab your remote, turn on the TV. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do in this place, and you're gonna like it because I'm the woman. Well, there's plenty of other women, right? And that's this thing with the society. With this thing that Esau pushes that a man is only to have one wife. It only tells you if a man desires to be a bishop or a deacon, he to have one wife. See, when it's set up that a man can have multiple wives, women wouldn't act like that, man. Why? Because you can go down the way. I already have my other wives, or whatever, or what have you, right? Not to mention this thing don't have any structure. They put whores on the pedestal, right? And that's the thing that we went off. You put the folly, right? Worshiping other gods, different holidays, Christmas and things. They put it on a pedestal, but it allowed us to be divorced from the Lord. And here we are in captivity with our women acting wild, right? We're to the point where our women are getting a divorce, right? Because this is under the First Corinthians, right? Under the Korin, right? Which the Edomites were ruling over. So this is just an Edomite thing all over again, right? See what I said? Let not the woman depart from her husband. Who allowed the woman just to get up? I'm the woman. It was never not so that the woman could do that, right? Right? But under an Edomite could do that. But the Lord said, but and if she departs, let her remain unmarried. See, you're not supposed to go get another man, right? Because it said in the the other verse in Jeremiah, if she leaves and get another man. But see, here's the Lord saying, if you leave, you remain unmarried. And sex is marriage, so you must remain monogamous, right? Is that the word, right? The rest of your life, right? According to the Lord, because you women say you believe in God, but you think you you could do what T.D. Snake said, "Woman, thou art loose," right? And see, but the Lord caught up to him. That's why he had to give his ministry over to his daughter, which a woman's not to be teaching. So everything's all out of order. You're gonna listen to a man who's completely out of order, right? Right. So if you able to leave and understand what the Lord truly requires, I don't think you would leave, because the Lord said if you leave, you remain unmarried. You have no more sex ever again, right? Or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put her away. See, even the husband, the Lord is saying you are not to put away your wife either. He's not saying you go and divorce her, but yeah. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 25, verse 24, and of the woman come the beginning of sin, right? See, because when Eve was in the garden, her thing was she wanted to absorb authority over the man, and when you do that, it leaves everything dysfunction. It's not meant for a woman to make decisions, right? It's not meant for a woman to assert authority over a man, because that's the way the Lord set it up to be, right? Your desire should be towards your husband, right? And that's when everything goes into order, right? When you look at what's ever best for my husband, which makes it best for the family, you will be happier, right? Because a true man, right, it would be hard for him to sit around and not make any money or not contribute to the house. You know what I mean? He should feel very low and not a man if he could just sit around and just play video games and let you go work back and forth. Like, a real man ain't gonna ever do that, truly. But of course, these days you got things messed up because of Eve, right? It's the beginning of sin, and through her we all die, right? And now you got this situation where it allows us to die, man, right? Because it's the woman, right? It says, and give the water no passage, right? Because water is very powerful. It destroys. You want to set up dams and certain things, protection away from water. Water can make things erode, right? So you want to give it no passage. Water is good to drink. It's for nourishment. You can water the plants. It does a lot of good things, but also it could do a lot of damage. And that's like a woman. A woman's like water, right? She could do great damage, or she can nourish. She can have the children. Like I said, the land, right? If that land be polluted, right? That land's no good. It can't nourish up a good seed, good children, right? A good plant, right? Which represents the children of Israel, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. But because of her, we all die. Now look at our neighborhoods, filled with gangs, filled with drugs, filled with violence, right? It says neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad, right? And that word gad goes into troops, right? You're gonna let her get trained, right? You know, she's gonna, a troop is gonna go through her. A lot of men are gonna run through her, right? Because that word gad means troops, right? Matter of fact, you can go back to like here, you can go into Genesis 49, because it's one of the 12 sons of Jacob, which is Gad, right? Which are the so-called Native Americans. And it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. As for Gad, a raiding troop, right? And that's what that means. It means a troop shall raid him, but he shall raid at their hills and assault them victorious, right? And then go into that word Gad, just to show you what, I just only read it just because it was there, basically. See, Gad, troop. So when you have your woman Gad abroad, let's see if it, to invade, attack. So if your woman is getting invaded, and getting her, her, her private area attacked, right, so to speak, Yep. To crowd upon, right? And she getting more than one man, right? And she getting drilled through, right?
Crowd.
Yeah, crowd upon, yeah. All these different men, huh? Yeah, so this is AI overview. A troop is a group of people, which can be military soldiers, scouts, or performers. The term is used for a specific so like a military unit, like a cavalry troop, a group of boy or girl scouts, or a group of traveling performers, right? The meaning of troops can also extend to large numbers of people, right? In a general sense. So yeah, your woman getting large amounts of dudes running through her, gad abroad, right? Yeah. Says, yeah, and that's what it said. Neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad, so she could just lay down with Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? All sorts of men, right? A troop. It says, and if she go not as thou wouldst have her, cut her off from thy flesh, right? From having sex. Also, from your household, right? She's no longer family, right? Because this thing, it says, she's flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, right? Meaning she comes from your family, right? But also, the scriptures speak about cutting them off as if they're a heathen, right? Because you want to do this type of thing. These are things of a heathen, right? Cut them off from your flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. You go about your business then, right? Yeah, so this is Matthew chapter 18, verse 17. And if he shall neglect to hear you, or she, right, your wife, right, she neglect to hear you, you're breaking down, the scriptures, you're trying to live according to the order, you're trying to live according to righteousness, but her thing is, how can you get two wives? I need to get me some multiple husbands. I need to do this and that. If you go get you another, I'm leaving. Okay, well, go ahead and leave. Right? Right? But if you're dealing with her the way you're supposed to be doing, according to the scriptures, right? That's how it is. And this ain't a thing just to be trying to get extra wives either, right? Because this thing's about serving Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, right? In spirit and in truth, right? Because if you get extra wives, sometimes those things, if you focus on too many other things besides, doing the work, it could, well, you seen what happened to Alazar, man. Too many wives, right? And he wasn't grounded. He wasn't grounded in the truth. Too many wives. That'll happen to you. That's what will happen to you. So then he was doing what he thought would please his wife, would keep him, but then they end up, spilling the tea, so to speak, what these women say these days. They spilt the tea, right? He says she didn't just spill it, she just knocked it down all over the table, right? Which that's what David said. So let their tables be a snare, right? And that's what happened, man. The woman can be a snare to you. You got to be careful. But I'm just saying, if you're dealing with your woman the right way, I'm just saying certain things that women get into because they get mad because you have certain liberties that they don't have. But their thing is their liberty wants them to gad abroad. I can get a troop to come through me. I can gad abroad, right? Then I can get multiple guys. Hey, well, all right. And then you're trying to speak to her. And if he shall neglect or she shall neglect to hear them, right? The pleas, the cries, the scriptures ultimately, because you're supposed to get counsel, but your thing is between you and your woman. So you don't really need to get no other brothers or nobody else. You bring out the scriptures. The scriptures is the counsel. She don't want to hear the scriptures. Tell it unto the church, which you don't need to tell it to the church. The main thing is what I'm talking about as far as your wife. If it was another brother, you get into it with a brother, you're supposed to go to the men, within your camp. I mean, you could bring some things to the brothers if you wanted to about you, but the main thing is, it's if you're dealing righteously, the scriptures is your counsel. The scriptures is the church. You bring it to the scriptures and show her what she's going off, and that's it. But if he should neglect to hear the church, or she neglect to hear the scriptures, right? Being the way the Lord set it up, the man is the head of the woman, right? Yahawashi is the head of the man, and Yahawah is the head of Yahawashi. And even Yahawashi has to get in order, right? You know what I'm saying? How much more you when you're just a woman, right? You literally don't belong to yourself, right? Matter of fact, I might have to get that because I did do that in one of my lessons. But yeah, I'm gonna get that one scripture because it talks about how the if a father hears the woman make a vow, he could disannul the vow and say, nah, she can't do that. Then it turns around and says if the husband hear her make a vow or try to make type of covenant, and he comes and say, nah, I don't agree with it. That's what it is. And it says the Lord will forgive her for what she said because either the father said, nah, that ain't going, or the husband says it. It don't say nothing about a woman can go in there and go, hey, I want a divorce. I want to do this. I want to do that. No, that you're giving these women too much liberty, right? And that's the reason, because of the woman with too much liberty, we all going to die, right? Because the scriptures also talk about not prostituting thy daughters, right? Or the land will turn into whoredom, to wickedness, right? And what do we have now, right? A bunch of boss babes and bad bees, right? Which hey, man, it's not good, right? But if she fail to hear the scriptures, which, you know what I mean? Let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican. That's the same thing with her. Let her be cut off as nothing worth. She's not part of the family. She's not part of the congregation. She's not part of the family. Cut her off, right? Cut her off from your flesh, but also cut her off from the family, right? Right. Yeah. Let me go ahead and finish because I was just going to cut off right there, but let me keep going. says, verily I say unto you, so whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And doesn't the Lord say, if any two come together in agreement, it should be so. So the family structure, the woman and the husband is a powerful thing for us to come together in a prayer, in agreement in the family, and its power. If you bind that thing on earth, it'll be bound in heaven. But if you're looking to have discourse and so neglect and negativity, right? You got to be careful, right? Because it be bound on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth, right? You let her go. You let that woman go. Hey, it'll be loose. It shall be loose in heaven. So hey, you got to be careful, right? Because what was the guy name? Can't remember at this moment. But the guy who took I believe he took the Apostle Paul. The prison broke open, and the Apostle Paul took him, and the guy went to his house, and his whole household got saved because he believed. That the man is the reason why you women are going to be saved. It even tells you that in was it Isaiah? Was it Isaiah 32? Again, he should be as a hiding place from the tempest. That's a man is your protection, from the things that's coming, right? Yeah. So this is Exodus chapter 21, verse 10. If he take him another wife, right? This is Exodus. This is actually, even though it's not saying Leviticus or Deuteronomy, Exodus, this is actually still a law. So this is the law of the Most High. A man can have him another wife. This is the law. The Lord does not change, right? We understand you people are used to plantation Christianity and the things that they fed you under this this false pretense of what holiness is, right? Right? Because even well, I'll stick to this. I ain't gonna mention something because see what I'm saying? It's gonna open up a whole nother can of worms, But let's just stick to this. It says that if a man take him another wife, which is lawful, right? This is the law of the Most High. It hasn't changed. The Lord is the same today, tomorrow, today, and forever, right? I am the Lord, I change not. So the Lord has not changed, right? When he said that, a man to be a bishop or a deacon of one wife, right? That's what the Apostle Paul was speaking about. If he's going to do that type of thing, he needs to be, and every man's not a bishop nor a deacon. No, everybody's not trying to be the head of a church, right? You're not trying to watch over all the flock and do all the things, not to say you're not your brother's keeper, which we are, right? But there's different spirits on different men. That's why we have apostles and bishops, right? And certain leaders and priests, certain men at certain levels. You know what I mean? But it says, her food and raiment and her duty of marriage, right, which means sex, shall he not diminish. So if he gives him another wife, he still has to give his first initial wife sex, right? And if he do not these three things, these three unto her, he do not these three unto her, then she shall go out free without money. So she's like, hey, I ain't satisfied. He ain't doing these things for me, right? Right? I ain't satisfied. I'm gonna leave. I'm finna go. I'm gonna go do my own thing, right? But the Lord already said, if you leave from your husband, you need to be celibate, right? Do not remarry. Do not get another husband, right? But if you do, they said what? You'll be greatly polluted. That land will be polluted. Shall that man go back to you? No, you're polluted. But if you're gonna go out, you're gonna do your thing, hey, you gotta go out. You gotta go without money. But under this thing, this lady can, like this guy was saying, he reached his pinnacle. He's top of his game, making more money than he probably could ever in his life. This the dude, like a neighborhood. He said he was a dude from the hood, from Detroit, right? He couldn't have been in a body bag or in jail a long time ago. See, here he is. He's made what do you call it? You know, what do you call it when it's just sort of like a miracle? Like, you know what I mean? The type of the shot that he had to the chance that he had to surpass the things that other men wish they could have done, right? Those things are like an anomaly for so-called black men. And she wait for 35 years later. Oh yeah, I think I want to. No, because what you're thinking is someone told you, oh, if you divorce him, you can get such amount of money, and then you could do such and such, and now you could go live your own life. But you know what you're gonna be doing? You're gonna get some dude who's not Judge Mathis, and you're gonna be paying his way. All cause so you could go have fun, so you could gad abroad, so you can, you know what I'm saying, so you could let a troop come in to you, right? So you can have all sorts of different men every night, every other night, until you decide you want to finally settle down, or you might want to go back to your husband. Nah, you know, it's up to him if he wants to take you back. Yeah. So this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 2. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife, right? So give her the bill of divorce. She go be with another man. Hey, you know, do her thing. Which really, it ain't meant to be that way. That's what the Lord said initially. But of course, you know, people gonna do what they do. You know, and if the latter husband hates her, right? So now, and writes her a bill of divorce. So now she got divorced by both husbands, right? And you got that here in America, Babylon the Great. I'm on my, I've been on my second divorce. I'm on my third marriage, right? You know, she's been married 2 and 3 times, right? And if the latter husband, right, her new husband, hates her and writes her a bill of divorce and give it in her hand and sendeth her out of his house, right? It's the second time. So she 2 marriages in, right? And that's this place. These women have been married 3 or 4 times, right? And then of course, you know, being how we understand marriage, it's by sex. So she's been married hundreds of times, right? She didn't let all sorts of troops come through unto her, right? You know, when you're dealing with the women of these days, man, none of these women are our women at this point these days, right? Or if the latter husband dies, so like, you know, maybe they don't get a divorce, but he died or something, you know, which took her to be his wife, the former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife, right? Which we know that ends up happening, right? The woman leaves, she go marry somebody else, then she goes back with the guy, the first husband, and marry him again, and they be together, and that happens here in Babylon the Great, right? And take her again to be his wife after that she is defiled, right? Ran through them troops, right? For that is an abomination before Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi BaHaSham QaDash, and thou shalt not cause the land to sin, right? Which Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi BaHaSham QaDash, thy power giveth thee for an inheritance, right? And so, I mean, you know, hey, well, you already know what's going on, right? Well, the Lord said it the best. Yahawashi said it the best. We're in an adulterous generation, so we know all this type of thing is going on right now. But this is how the Lord set up the laws, so these type of things wouldn't be going on in that perspective. But really, the Lord actually gives you one deeper than that, right? He goes deeper than that. Yeah. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doeth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, right? Not, seeking your own pride, So if you see that your wife is, maybe she's coming around, or even the unbelieving husband may be coming around, right? Because it speaks about that, the unbelieving wife or the unbelieving husband. They may not, they might believe, but then they go, oh, you know what? And they may come around, right? And since we're under grace, right, is not easily provoked, thinking no evil, right? So, if you want to reconcile with your wife, and it's not an evil thing, and especially if she really wants to reconcile and work together, right? It's a good thing. It's a good thing, right? It's not an evil thing at all. Not provoking each other, not to wrath, not to anger, not to do all these different things. With the crazy thing that's going on these days, right? I think I did a lesson where the guy he killed his wife, or unalived, shall I say, unalived his wife, unalived his son. Tried an attempt to the friend, I believe the friend or the neighbor, right, that was, I guess, visiting his son, and then he did himself, right? So all these type of things are going on in this life, right? But if you're not, though, you're coming around to following the truth, because they're starting to see, and maybe you could, even though, hey, the Lord Himself, like I said, the Lord Yahawashi said it Himself, that this is an adulterous generation, man. Right? So you may want to, go ahead, reconcile and forgive your wife, and if she's coming around, she's not thinking no evil towards you, no ill malice towards you. Rejoice not in iniquity. See, she comes to you humbly. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry, I committed adultery. I did this, or I wanted to leave because of this and that. But now I'm starting to see that, hey, this truth that you're doing this, I wasn't raised that way under the truth, under the Bible. We learned a different way, but I'm starting to see that the way you believe the Bible is true. It got to be real, right? So she started coming around, and then you rejoice not in iniquity, in her wrongdoings or your wrongdoings, right? But rejoice in the truth. See, and we're rejoicing in Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi. See, and that's the type of thing that we're coming around to do. Beareth all things, right? I mean, because that's what marriage is truly all about. Marriage is, you have to bear all things. You have to suffer. That's why when you do your vows, and sickness and death, and riches and poor, unto death, right? And that's ultimately what it's supposed to be, because there's really it's not supposed to be a such thing as divorce, right? It's a roller coaster ride, truly, right? Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things, right? And that's within the truth, man. All things that pertain of what? To the scriptures. All the things that pertain of unto Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi BaHaSham QaDash, right? Like I said, under this grace period, you could most likely you could take your wife back, because we are this adulterous generation. So if you wanted to take her back, it says and unto the married I command ye not. Right? So he's saying this ain't my because the Apostle Paul was a chosen vessel to be taught by Yahawashi in the spirit, in his perfection, right? Above all, what the apostles, right? John, Peter, Matthew, all of them were taught. I mean, they were taught of Yahawashi personally, but this is Yahawashi in his perfection. So for guys to say that Paul's letters is not good enough, I mean, that's crazy. He should never taught anybody in their perfection like that, right? Besides the Apostle Paul. So that's a heavy spirit. I mean, you got to think that's a very chosen vessel. That's the reason why he spoke of things that those other guys never spoke of. Right? Think about it, really. To teach you about how Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. None of the other apostles brought that out. Right? Only the apostle Paul. Right? Covering the head. Right? None of the apostles brought out not to cover your head when you pray or prophesied. Yeah, man. He had, hey, I mean, there's so much more. The things. That's why even Peter said most people they wrestle with it to their own destruction. Yeah. Oh, about the Gentiles, the way he bring out the mystery of the Gentiles. Right. No other apostle or anybody else had the understanding of the mystery of the Gentiles. That's because he was directly taught by Yahawashi in his perfection. Right. So that's why he said, not I, but the Lord. So this is coming from the law, statutes, commandments. Right. He's not going to veer off into something else. Right. And even if he does say his own opinion, it's still not outside of the scope of the scriptures and in his experience. No, Paul was a Pharisee. He knew about keeping the laws. Right. He's not going to tell you, you know what I mean? He's saying, so let not thy wife depart from her husband. See, same thing what Yahweh said. It's really the wife shouldn't depart. Right. But if she departs, right, just what it said in the old, a woman shouldn't really depart. But hey, if she wants to depart, hey, you're gonna have to just go ahead and give her the bill of divorce then. All right. But but just like Yahawashi, he takes it a step further. But if she departs, let her remain unmarried, right, which means not to get another husband, right? Not to, and sex is marriage. So basically, don't get another man. She would have to just remain like a widow, right? Unmarried. Or be reconciled, or just go back to your husband. Or be reconciled to her husband, and let not her husband put away his wife. See? Because he's saying ain't really no such thing as divorce. But in this society, there, people, they even the Lord said that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to get that, because of your hearts, Moses brought the divorce, right? But it says, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. So he said, I'm still speaking what the Lord would say. If any brother have a wife that believe not, and she is pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. So you don't give her a bill of divorce just because she ain't following this and that. Well, you don't got to put her away for that, But if she's pleased to dwell with you and do the things, but if she's going too contrary, she's trying to hinder your walk with Yahweh BaHaSham, then yeah, you got to give her that bill of divorce. But if she's dwelling with you and in a peaceable way and this and that, or she don't believe and she decides, hey, you know what, I want to come back, I want to reconcile. I don't, you could reconcile, right? And it says, yeah, if she's pleased to dwell with him, yeah, let him not put her away. And if and the wife and the woman, to like, yeah, which that's the same thing what wife mean. Wife just means woman, right? And the wife and the woman which had a husband that believeth not, if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him, right? For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband, or else were the children unclean, but now are they holy. Ooh. So you got to think of hey, things are bigger than you. And see, people always say, yeah, we stuck together for the children, but you don't even know how important that really is. It said if they didn't, the children will be unclean, bro, which means your children will be unholy. And you know what the Lord's going to do to unholy children? He's going to put them to death. So you got to have a believing husband or believing wife in the house, or your children is unholy, and the Lord's going to destroy them. So you don't know how important. Cause people, you can't just stick together just for the kids. You got to be happy. All right, well, and the kids are going to be unholy, right? Going to be unclean, right, man? But if the unbelieving depart, let him or her depart. And there's nothing much you can do about that. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such case, but the power, the Most High Yahawah BaHaSham have called us unto peace. So make sure that you keep everything in a peaceful way, right? If they want to leave, let them leave. But if they're pleased to dwell with you, let them dwell with you, right? But it's a lot of things you have to take consideration, right? Yeah, so this is Matthew chapter 19, verse 6. Wherefore they are no more twain, right? But one flesh, right? The man and the woman, when they come together. Maybe I need to go up one. Yeah, let me go up one. And he said, for this cause shall man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore the power of the Most High Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi have joined together, let no man put asunder. Right? You're not supposed to separate, divorce, anything like that. They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? Right? So which we read about that, right? If the woman's not going the way you will allow her to go, or you want her to go, put her away. Right? But what did the Apostle Paul say? Hey, if she's pleased to dwell with you, even though she's an unbeliever, you can't be, you don't believe in what? I need to get out of here. No, she's pleased to dwell with you. Let her dwell with you, even though she's not a believer. Right? But if she's being unruly and trying to hinder your walk with Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi, yeah, of course, you got to get her out of there. Right? If she's just flipping out, if you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, and she's just flipping out because you got another wife, then let her go. Get another wife. Get someone who's willing to go the way that you're going. But as long as it's not hindering your walk with Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi, right? Doing your lessons, doing what you're supposed to do. As long as it ain't hindering that, right? It says, seek ye the Lord with fear and trembling. That's all this is about. So if you as a man want to have two wives, according to the scripture, that's the law. And the Lord doesn't change. You can have two wives. But is it going to hinder you? So you got to, even the Apostle Paul said, all things are expedient, but not beneficial, so to speak. Right? Right? So you got to weigh your things out. Right? It says, where was that? Yeah. And to put her away. Yeah, why did Moses do that? Huh? So Yahawashi said, and he said unto them, which is Yahawashi, said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, your mind, right? La'ab, your mind's always thinking wickedness, right? You're always on conditions, as long as everything's good right now, because we just read the things. It's supposed to be long suffering, patient, not puffed up, given to kindness, not trying to exalt yourself over the other. No. These two twain should become one. So how can I be better than you? Right? How can I puff myself up against myself? You know what I mean? And that's how you have to look at it. You know? But of course, there's certain things man's stronger. He can lift up things. He can probably reach things higher. Of course, yeah, you're better in that case. And that things, you might be able to, fix a motor or do this. But there's other things that where the woman does the other things, the cleaning, the nurturing. She's better than you in that. But that becomes one function for the house, for the children, sanctifying the children, keeping the children clean and holy, keeping the house in order, man. Right? All things are functional, right? It says because of your heart, la'ab, your mind, suffered you to put away your wives. Ooh, yep. But from the beginning, it was not so, right? Because the two become one, and it said the Most High planned for you two to be together. So who the hell are you? You want to say who the fuck are you? But who the hell are you that you could try to change what the Most High done? Huh? You're nobody, right? You mean the most perfect specimen being that's without time, who knows everything, omnipotent, omnipresent, everything. He's everything. He decided, these two people need to be together to make this particular person, so that particular person comes out, so this particular person can have a certain particular upbringing, so this person can be this in their life. And he thought of that all, before you were in your mother's womb, just like in Jeremiah, right? Like who are you to think you could be with DJ K Slay or something, you think you can come in there and remix it and K, and hey man, you can't do that. But through the law, you were able to do divorces, but it's hey, that's for a time, right? But it's coming around to, the Lord's going to come back, and in the kingdom, it ain't going to be so. The Lord's going to put it back to the way it was in the beginning. But for now, this is just how you govern yourself. It gives you some understanding. That's why the Apostle Paul was speaking. He said, well, I say you should not marry. Be as I am. Why? Because if it actually cuts out the confusion, and what it cuts out this right here, what Yahawashi is about to say. It says, and I say unto you, whosoever put away his wife, right? You're going to divorce your wife, except it be for fornication, right? Which goes back to the same thing. If she wants to be with another man, she's doing her own thing. She's being with another man. Her land is greatly polluted, right? She got a troop coming through, right? Choo choo, right? Getting the train thing put on her, right? It's polluted. The land is polluted, right? Except for fornication, and shall marry another, right? Yeah, see, committeth adultery, right? And whosoever marrieth her is put away, doeth and whosoever marrieth her which is put away doeth commit adultery. See, now everybody's committing adultery. You didn't divorce your wife, now she's with someone else, she's committing adultery. Now that man's committing adultery, right? Which if you marry someone else, they're committing adultery. And pretty much none of these women are ours. The woman you with, you're not her first. You're not the one who took her virginity. So you're committing adultery. So this world, it's madness. You know what I'm saying? So this is why it was supposed to be from the beginning was not supposed to be so. And this is the confusion behind all these different things. Right? This is why because of woman, right? In the beginning, because of woman, we die. Right? From the beginning. Because of her, we all die. Right? Because most of this is all her emotions. And I just don't want to, and I don't want to follow that stuff. And I'm just going to go do this and that. And even without that, even without the truth. Right? You know? Because you can see this, right? What Judge Mathis, the dude was basically saying, yeah, this pinnacle, he's making the most money he could ever make, especially as a so-called black man coming from Detroit. Dude, he dodged so many bullets to be where he's at. That woman should be worshiping the ground he walks on, which she's supposed to be, because it tells you that in the scriptures that the woman should be calling her husband Lord, just as Sarah did to Abraham. And that woman's a so-called black woman, so which she's an Israelite. It says without any amazement, calling her husband Lord. She wasn't dismayed at oh, you know what? Oh, this is something new, and it's appalling, or whatever. You're not surprised. She knew her place. The man is over her, period. And she lived a great life because of it, right? Abraham had riches. The Lord came and visited him. You ever had a house guest, and your house guest was the Lord? Come on now. You was not gonna have any babies, but the Lord said, hey, you are gonna have a baby, and you're gonna call his name Isaac, which means laughter, which means, come on, bro. So she lived the life that you're supposed to live as a woman. She put herself in her place as a woman. I'll listen to one thing the dude said something about that. Your women's feminine energy is her power, right? Think about it. Go into the scriptures. Every woman who slayed a captain or something in Israel was because of her sensuality, her beauty. She captivated him by her beauty, let him put down his guards, put a nail or hit him in the head, and then Israel was delivered from that. That's because she used her femininity and not her trying to be masculine, right? So I think this is all I want to do, because I was thinking of all sorts of stuff, but I'll keep going forever. So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To your sisters, Yahawah, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and the Bible ball. Chwam Yasharallah.